First story, The Thing Beneath the Lake. I still remember that night like it was yesterday. I was 12 years old, fishing alone at Hollow Creek Lake. The summer air was thick with humidity, and the moon hung low, casting silver ripples across the water. My dad always warned me never to fish at night, but I was stubborn. The best catches came when the world was silent. I sat on the dock, my bare feet dangling over the edge, the old wooden planks creaking beneath me. The only sounds were the soft lapping of the water and the distant hoot of an owl. I felt something tug at my line, a slow, deliberate pull. My heart leaped as I reeled it in, expecting a big catch. Then the line went slack. Confused, I shone my flashlight over the water. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing something just beneath the surface, something pale, something watching me. My breath caught in my throat. Two sunken, milky white eyes stared up at me, unblinking. The thing wasn't a fish. It wasn't human either. A hand, long-fingered and webbed, shot out of the water, gripping the edge of the dock. The wood groaned under its strength. I scrambled back, my fishing rod forgotten, my body frozen in terror. The thing began to pull itself up, revealing a gaunt, waterlogged face, its mouth stretching too wide, gaping, showing rows of needle-like teeth. I screamed. I don't remember running home. I don't remember anything after that, except waking up in my bed, my parents telling me I had a nightmare. But the scratches on the dock were real. The clawed marks, deep and splintered, were real. 15 years later, I moved to another town, somewhere far from Hollow Creek, somewhere safe. Or so I thought. Tonight, I sit by Blackwood Lake, my lantern flickering, my line cast into the still water. The night is quiet, just like before. Too quiet. Then, my line goes taut. My breath catches as I pull, my muscles tense. The weight on the other end is unnatural, not a fish, not something I can see. The lantern light barely touches the surface of the lake, but I know something is there. Something waiting. Something that remembers me. And then, just beyond the rippling black water, two pale, unblinking eyes rise from the depths. The night is silent, except for the sound of something crawling onto the shore. Second story, The Abyss Below. I never believed in curses. Not until that night. Not until I cast my line into the black waters of Lake Hollow. The lake wasn't always called that. It used to be Whitmore Lake, a quiet spot nestled in the forests of Maine. But after the disappearances, after the bodies washed ashore with hollowed-out eyes and twisted limbs, the locals started calling it something else. Lake Hollow, a place where things went in but didn't always come out. I wasn't scared. I should have been. It was nearly midnight when I set up my gear on the old dock. The wood creaked beneath me, whispering secrets of those who had stood there before. My lantern flickered against the darkness, barely reaching the edge of the rippling water. Everything was silent, too silent. I cast my line, the lure vanishing beneath the surface. I waited. Minutes passed. Then something tugged, hard. I reeled in, muscles straining, but whatever was on the other end wasn't a fish. It was heavier, stronger. It pulled back. The dock groaned, the planks beneath me splintering. My hands burned against the reel. Then, with one final yank, the line snapped and I staggered backward. But before I could regain my footing, something surged out of the water. A hand, pale, bloated, fingers curled like claws. It gripped the edge of the dock, nails digging into the wood. My breath caught as another hand followed, then a head, dripping with black water. Empty sockets stared at me. A gaping mouth opened, releasing a guttural sound that wasn't human. I stumbled back, but the thing dragged itself onto the dock, its waterlogged body moving in jerks. It wore tatters of what once was a fishing vest, its skin stretched tight over swollen flesh. I recognized that face. It was Daniel Harker, a fisherman who had vanished 3 years ago. He was dead, and he was crawling toward me. I turned to run, but the dock cracked beneath me. The lantern toppled, its flame snuffed out. In the darkness, I heard the squelch of wet footsteps, the creak of the wood bowing under an impossible weight. Then the whispering started. Low voices, muttering my name, rising from the water. More figures emerged, their silhouettes barely visible against the black horizon. Their bodies twisted unnaturally, heads lolling, arms reaching. I backed away, heart hammering. My foot slipped on the wet wood, and I fell. Cold fingers wrapped around my ankle, yanking me toward the edge. My scream echoed across the empty lake. I fought, kicked, clawed at the dock, splinters biting into my palms, but they were too many. Their grip was iron. I felt the water lick my skin as they dragged me closer, the stench of decay filling my lungs. Then I was under. The lake swallowed me whole. Darkness engulfed me, thick and endless. Hands pulled me deeper, deeper. The whispering grew louder, a chorus of the lost. And then I saw them. Eyes opened in the abyss. Dozens, hundreds, staring, waiting. My lungs burned, my vision blurred. The last thing I saw before everything went black was Daniel's face, inches from mine, his mouth moving without sound. Welcome home. The next morning, my truck was still parked by the shore. My fishing rod lay abandoned on the dock, but I was gone. Lake Hollow had claimed another. Third story. The lake that never lets go. I always loved fishing. There was something about the quiet ripples of the water, the feel of the line in my hands, the anticipation of the catch. But that was before I found Black Hollow Lake, before it found me. It started with a tip from an old man at a bait shop just outside of Fairbrook, Pennsylvania. He had the kind of face that looked like it had seen too much. "If you're looking for real fish," he said, "go to Black Hollow. Ain't on no map, but you'll find it if it wants you to." He chuckled to himself like he'd just told a joke I wouldn't get. I should have walked away. The lake was exactly where he said it would be, hidden deep in the woods, the air thick and damp. The water was black, almost oily, with a strange stillness. No wind disturbed it, no birds called from the trees. It felt wrong. But I had driven 3 hours for this, so I set up my gear. The first cast was smooth, the line slicing through the silence. Nothing. I waited. The second cast, nothing. The third, I felt a tug so strong it nearly ripped the rod from my hands. My heart pounded as I reeled it in. It was heavier than anything I'd ever hooked. And then I saw it. At first, I thought it was a fish. But as it surfaced, I realized it had no gills, no scales. It had fingers, pale, bloated fingers gripping my line. My stomach twisted, and I stumbled back, dropping my rod. The thing, whatever it was, slid back into the water with a wet, sucking sound. I ran. I didn't stop until I reached my truck, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I fumbled with the keys, hands shaking. As I started the engine, my headlights illuminated the lake. Something moved in the water, rising, watching. I floored it, tearing down the dirt road, branches scraping against the sides of my truck, like desperate fingers trying to hold me back. I made it home, but I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing that sound, the wet, sucking noise. And then came the dreams. Dark water. A pale hand reaching up. A whisper I couldn't understand. I tried to forget. I really did. But the next night, I woke up standing at my front door, my keys in my hand. I didn't remember getting up. I didn't remember unlocking the door. The night after that, I found myself in my truck. Engine running. Headlights shining down an empty road. The road back to Black Hollow Lake. I don't remember driving there, but I do remember walking into the water.